Hello everyone! Ratchet and Clank Size Matters is a PSP game that was released in 2007. This game is supposed to be a franchise of Insomniac Studios, but they did not develop it. It is developed by the High Impact Games, where other Insomniac employees had been assigned to create this project. Size Matters is a spin-off title, that is why it is created by another studio. Yet, a year later, it was ported to the PlayStation 2. It got mixed reviews from different reviewers and especially from the fans of the series. But when I was a kid, I remember that I'm having a blast on this game. And this is my first Ratchet and Clank game that I've ever played before the other games of Ratchet and Clank from the other consoles. Yet, years later, do I think it still holds up in this ninth generation of gaming? Well, let's see if it still holds up to this day. First, when you boot up this game, the game will greet you with this kind of menu. It is kind of a bland if you're going to ask me. There are no visually appealing animations when you are navigating the menu. The background of it is just a stale picture of Ratchet and Clank. But I checked the other Ratchet and Clank games that had this kind of menu also. But anyways, that's not how I'm going to critique this game. Right now, from the start of this game, Ratchet and Clank will relax in a tropical resort of planet Plateau, just like in the title menu, until Ratchet was pestered by this little girl and this girl named Luna. Luna has an article that she needed to create for her school project, so that's why she is taking some pictures of Ratchet. She asked Ratchet to perform some actions to emphasize the heroic deeds on his previous missions. So, Ratchet being an egotistic hero who achieved some glory of success, he impulsively agreed to the little girl's request. At the same time, Clank was kinda annoyed at Ratchet for agreeing to Luna's request. So, the duo show their moves to Luna by attacking the enemies on the island. By means of enemies, there are crabs that would be the size of an ordinary mammal, shady islanders that are also chilling on the resort. It's either you blast them with your lacerator or you will throw them with your acid grenade. Also, do not forget the iconic weapon of Ratchet, that would be the wrench, where you can also smack and swing through the enemies. Regardless when you are doing this action, you as a player will be accompanied by Luna and she will be your walking tutorial in this first stage. Due to the limited buttons of the PSP, when you're going to enter in the first person mode, you need to press the select button to manually aim your weapon in the first person view. As you can see the bullseye in the screen, to open the door that is barricading you to move forward, that is the only one time you're going to do this in the game. The rest of it, you can solve it without giving yourself a critical thinking. On the next part, once you're done with the tutorial, Quark will appear on the island where he is secretly stalking the duo because he needed some help. Yet also, an enemy will appear out of nowhere to kidnap Luna. Because of the negligence of the two protagonists, Luna escaped by herself without the supervision of the duo. Without hesitation, they try to help Luna, but unfortunately, they failed to prevent the girl from the kidnapping. But there is some clue that was left from them, an artifact that will lead them find Luna. According to Clank, that this item was considered to be a Technomite artifact. But Ratchet doesn't believe it because it is only a myth for those people who doesn't know how to explain how technology works. The artifact they got came from the planet Rylus, will serve as a hint for them on how they will find Luna. So this will embark the journey of the duo to save Luna from the Technomites. From their next journey, arriving at planet Rylus, surprise surprise, that Quark secretly hitchhiked from their ship. Quark tells them that he is finding his family, so Ratchet was being kind to Quark. He let him borrow his computer so that Quark can finally find his family. While finding his family in the sketchy website, Quark advised them to take the artifact in the largest building in this area, because he has already been here in this area before. But unbeknownst to them, they are being secretly filmed by the unknown party. As you are crossing this journey, the game will also allow you to buy some weapon and ammos in the shop box. The bolts and nuts you gather from the enemy or objects you destroy will be spent from the stall, which is scattered in every planet. Another thing that you will encounter are the armors that you will be wearing. The armor that you gather in this game will not just give you just a defense to reduce the enemy attacks that you receive. It will also give you an elemental effect of your attacks using the wrench, whether it will give you an elemental effect damage like fire, acidic, electric, and many more. But this effect will be only activated once you completed the set of armor that is required. As you go further, you will meet Professor Sprout. There's no explanation on how Professor Sprout has been here on this planet. He just magically appears and yet never seen again in the whole entirety of the game. You will acquire his gun and this will be very helpful to your journey. Using the Sprout-O-Matic will allow you to use the plants that are needed to be watered. Once that you use the Sprout-O-Matic from the plant, this will be needed to transfer to a sandbox to become a mature plant that has a various uses. It can be a catapult to destroy the walls that are cleared to become a hole, a grabber that can throw you in a long distance, and also a ladder can go you further to climb or whatever it is. However, all of this is scripted and it is depends on the obstacle that is needed to be solved. Once that you reach a temple that Quark was pointing at for you, the duo discovered that the temple was locked for a long time. Luckily, Clank discovered that there's a hidden entrance. However, Ratchet will not be able to go inside in that small entrance because of his size. So, Clank being the small robot sidekick, he decided to enter on his own. Clank has a different gameplay if he is on a solo segment. He can only use a one attack animation compared to Ratchet. Clank doesn't also use a ranged weapons and projectile weapons. However, he can command his minions that he gathered in this level. You can command them to attack, wait, enter, or follow you. And also you have to use this robot body to throw your minions on other platforms to activate it. Whether you're going to activate it as a bridge or unlock a locked door so that you can go further to your next stage. After that, once you finish playing Clank as your temporary playable character, Ratchet fell asleep outside of the temple, succeeding that Clank has now opened a temple. Now, they use the Technomite artifact they acquired that was left behind by the enemies. It is revealed that the coordinates where Luna has been left behind by the enemies, so they are now ready to journey to another planet. As they arrive on the planet Caledon, the duo was planning on how they're going to find Luna, and yet Quark came out of nowhere without having him earlier in the cutscene. It will make you wonder how Quark was able to fit himself in that car ship with that kind of size. I don't know how to explain it, but anyways, he says that he discovered who his real parents are, as stated in the shady website earlier, and then he goes off without having any of thought. On the bright side, Ratchet is glad that Quark will no longer be a distraction from their way finding Luna in this place. Now, as you explore the land of Caledon, there is a station where you can upgrade your weapons by adding other modifications to your specific weapon. There is another way you can also upgrade your weapon by using your weapon repeatedly to the enemy. After from time to time, your weapon will automatically level up. Most of the weapons can be leveled up to a maximum of 3. After it, you will notice that some of your weapons on other later stages will not be as effective to other enemies. But it's up to you on how you're going to use it as a combo to a combat. In your detour to your exploration on the Caledon, you will meet another character who looks like someone who watches a lot of X games back in the day, which I forgot the name of this character. He will challenge you to a skyboarding race. I remember when I was a kid, I thought this is one of the fun mini games of this game, but now that I replay this game, I kinda see the flaws of this mini game. But let's get into the positive side of the minigame. The premise of it, it's kind of exciting because it will give you some sort of freedom on how you're going to navigate the board from left to right, up and down, whenever you're using a booster for a limited amount of time. But now, for the negative part of the skyboarding minigame, first are the AI. I think this is one of the bad example of using a rubber banding in a racing game. Whenever that you are leading and far away to them, the game will adjust and give them a miracle to catch you up. But the advantage of this kind of rubber banding system, whenever that you are behind in the race, the AI of the minigame will also adjust for you so that you can catch up to them. Another negative will be on how they design the tracks so that it will give you some confusion and it gives you the result that you are heading in the wrong way. And if you finish the race, it just give you a text that you've won. There's no special effects on that you've won. There's no music effects for the you've won. It's just you won. There's no excitement, there's no visual appealing animations, there is no kind of satisfactory when you finish the minigame. So, moving on, when you defeated this guy, he will give you the Shrink Ray and Grind Boots. This Shrink Ray is also a great gadget that will be useful for unlocking some locked doors. It is also the same as the Sprout-O-Matic that you can only use it from a scripted area. Now that you get the Shrink Ray, you can now unlock the locked door from the factory by shrinking yourself. Then, once you shrink yourself, you have to pass the railing but also avoid the bombs on your way by jumping it or smashing it by using your wrench until you reach the last part of the lock. Following that segment, as you enter the factory, you will have to fight the horde of enemies. There's also a boss fight at the end of the stage. The boss in this stage is not that bad from what I remember. And as of I replaying this game, Mongo has different kind of moves to attack you whenever its health bar decreases. Mongo can use normal melee attacks from short to a longer reach, and the projectile attacks. The game was forgiving when it comes to boss battle. In the boss battle also, it will give you ammunition inside the area, but it will be assorted depending on the weapon that ammo has been used. Not just only ammunition, but also health was given to the player whenever Ratchet was damaged. Once Mongo is defeated, Ratchet and Clank are now able to rescue Luna from her captives. So mission accomplished. Job's done, so another day for heroic victory for the heroes. But oh no! Something's wrong with Luna. It turns out that this is a trap for the heroes to capture them. Both of our heroes has been neutralized by Luna. Ratchet has been abducted by Luna to be experimented on, while Clank has been separated and dumped from the planet Natalis. Once again, Clank is a temporary playable character that you will going to use again. He has been tangled from the arena battle of robots, where the Robot Wars 3 was happening in that planet. So, he has no choice but to participate in this arena battle. The arena battle is considered to be a minigame. Clank must defeat all the enemies in this bumping car. You're not just only to ram your enemies, you also have a special attacks that you can gather from the arena. Each of the stages of the Destruction Derby will change different type of vehicles you will ride. There's a vehicle that you ram straight ahead from your enemy, a vehicle that you can electrocute, a vehicle that you can spinning the saw torso, and a vehicle that you can impale by the spikes. Afterwards, when Clank manages to defeat all the enemies to save Ratchet, thanks to Scrunch that appears out of nowhere, and somehow he located where Ratchet was being held as a captive, it's either you can go further to continue to finish the other minigames in the Metalis, or you can move on without doing the other minigames. If you go further, there are two remaining other minigames that you can play in the Metalis. The second minigame is the Gadget Bot Toss. To describe it, it is like a mix of basketball and football, where the Gadget Bots are the ball that you need to toss in the net to get a score. Enemies of this minigame are dumb enough to the point that they're not trying their best to have a score in this minigame. And lastly, the third minigame is the Gadget Bots Survival. This is a puzzle game. Instead of competing with other robots in the Metalis, you need to transfer the Gadget Bots with a quota in the other side. In order to do this, you need to be faster and alert when it comes to your Gadget Bots that travel in the obstacle. It's either you plan them to explode, swing, electrocute, or make bridges so that the other Gadget Bots will cross to the other platforms. Of course, when you finish all the minigames, the game will reward you with bolts and also new armor for Ratchet. Speaking of Ratchet, if you're deciding to rescue him now from your enemies, another piece of minigame to Clank, that Clank can transform into a giant robot and fly across to the space. One of the tropes in the gaming industry in that decade, when you are flying in the outer space, you also need to shoot some ships just like in the Kingdom Hearts game. You're going to shoot all of your enemies before you arrive in a destination where Ratchet was being experimented. Shoot all the enemies will give you some points for your special ability to have a barrage of missiles. And lastly, you also need to defeat a giant spaceship, which is a dreadnought. It will act as a boss fight for a Clank to defeat it. Meanwhile, when Clank on its way to the medical outpost, Ratchet experiences a vivid dream about all of his past encounters from previous games, and also a Dr. Quark appears that wants him to be killed by using the chainsaw. Because it is a dream, it is hardly explained, but one thing for sure as I understand from this dream sequence is that he is fighting his egotism and reflecting on his negligence from his best friend that he was not listening to him. Fortunately, Clank arrived in the medical outpost to wake him up, and some divine miracle, Ratchet heard him, and then he woke up from his vivid dream. So now, the duo once again reunited. They decided to escape from the medical outpost. Here, in this stage, it is a mixture between the two. Most of the time, you will use Ratchet, just your typical core gameplay, but when Ratchet will open a lock, you will also use Clank on a gunner torso to shoot some upcoming enemies towards the Ratchet. It is kind of annoying when you are using Clank at this point because on how slow the fire rate of the freezing ray is. But I think it is intentionally that the developers did it that way to add some tension. Yet from the middle of their escape, they discover a room that consists a sample of DNA in the laboratory flask. And the video of Ratchet about his movement and abilities. They found out that who are their enemy and where Luna is working for. Luna is working for Emperor Otto, who is the mastermind of this scheme, and the Emperor of Technomites. Once the duo knew about this scheme, they decided to destroy the medical outpost and find Luna for more answers. Using the coordinates they discovered from their room, where they find out that Ratchet's DNA was being used, they decided to go to the planet Kallax to find the city of Technomites. However, you as a player, you can go further if you do not go back to the destroyed medical outpost. By the way, this game allows you to go back from your previous planets that you visited so that you can repeatedly use your guns and other weapons to level it up. Also, there's a collectible of titanium bolts where you can find that was scattered from different planets. The benefits of these titanium bolts will allow you to spend your titanium bolts to get a costume for Ratchet. Anyhow, from this distraction of the medical post, you will get an item that is very important to your next planet, which is the Polarizer. The Polarizer, which can magnetize some important scripted events like opening some doors. You can also get this from this fella again, who will challenge you again for a skyboarding again. Needless to say, once you defeated him, he will give you the Polarizer for your next journey. Going back from the planet Kallax, the duo were surprised that the Technomites are just a small civilization, like literally the size of the termites. Luckily, they got the shrink ray and the polarizer from the X Games guy to go further in the city. Now, as you reach the finale of this civilization, they will discover that Luna was just a robot all along that was controlled by the Technomites. From this discovery, they decided to act on it, but Luna heads from the planet Dynamon, and the duo are determined to follow her. So, Ratchet and Clank followed Luna to the Dynamon. However, Dynamon was packed out of worship. Dynamon has this day and night cycle. When it is daytime, the ships are just your normal ships. But when it is nighttime for a matter of minutes, the ships turn to aggressive warships who wants to rip you apart. As you move forward, Luna will set the trap and also destroy using a plane that can be turned to a tractor that can also shoot electricity from it. Before a boss fight from Luna, she will reveal what this scheme is all about. All this time, Technomites and also Emperor Otto wanted to clone an army of Ratchet to conquer the whole universe using his ability. She also mentioned that no one credits them for using their technology and they want to be the most intelligent being in the whole universe. When you are fighting Luna, you have to dodge all of her electricity bullets and projectiles that towards the Ratchet. I recommend to use your strongest weapon when fighting her, but also the game was generous for having some spare ammo and recovering health that you can gather from the battlefield. After Luna was defeated, Clank is trying to get the coordinates from Luna's memory bank to find the main base of the Technomites. But Clank malfunctions when he is trying to get information from Luna's brain. Clank's body is infiltrated by the Technomites, so Ratchet needed to save his friend by shrinking himself. Upon his arrival inside Clank's body, a security guard meets him and tells that he needs to repair Clank's heart from the Technomites. Because of the usefulness of the polarizer, Ratchet succeeded in repairing the heart of Clank and escaped using the shrink ray. Luckily, Clank manages to get the coordinates to find the main base of the Technomites, as well Emperor Otto, which is located from the planet Quadrona. Finally, the final stage of the game, Quadrona. You are going to fight all of your clones that were created by the Technomites. This clone can damage you heavily if you do not have the proper equipment that you load out for this stage. They almost copied your arsenal, but they had a missing factor. That is why Ratchet can save the day, which they do not have his trusty sidekick Clank, that's supporting him in every battle. And those Ratchet clones do not have a Clank partner, so they are no match for him except when he is not wearing his armor. One thing that is very annoying in this stage is this part of the stage. It took me 10 minutes to climb up on this. Even me as a kid on that time, I'm having a hard time to get up on this barrel and then manage to stick on the wall and then climb on another ledge. Once you reach the final area of the planet, you will have to fight Emperor Otto, and also he will reveal his final plan. He created a machine that could transfer all the intelligent beings all over the solar system to become the most intelligent of them all. But before fighting him, the duo have to survive about 3 minutes from another attack of the Ratchet clones in this arena. The difference from the previous clones from the clones that Ratchet currently fights in this arena, they have different kinds of sizes and abilities compared to the previous clones that had a one-to-one cloning from Ratchet. After the duo survives, Quark manages to hinder their battle and then he is manipulated by Otto through telling that he is Quark's father. So, Quark being a dum-dum, he helps the Emperor to capture the duo. A large Quark manages to grab them, but for some unknown reason, Ratchet mishandled his shrink ray. So, Otto manages to get the shrink ray from Ratchet, then he shrink Quark using the gadget, and vice versa, he shoots himself to become a larger size. The duo manages to shoot the shrink ray through them to return to a normal size. Yet again, Otto shoots himself with the shrink ray to become even more colossal. He doesn't know that Clank can transform also into a giant robot, so this becomes a kaiju battle between the two. But the problem with Giant Clank is not as mobile as we think, and he sucks on dodging the missile projectile that was incoming to him. But once Otto was defeated, he was distracted by his fake son. He hastily used the shrink ray towards Quark, but he accidentally shoot himself and reverse again to its original size. Now, for the proper fight, the game will prepare you to buy at the store to replenish your ammunition. For the context, when you're dying in this game, it is not exactly a game over. Whenever that your health turns to 0, it will only return you to the last checkpoint, but all of your experience that you gather will stay to you. But also your ammunition of your weapons that you use are now diminished. So, you need to return to the store to buy some ammo of your weapons. Or use your PDA. It may be convenient, but it quadruples the cost of your ammo. Returning to the boss fight of Otto. Fighting Otto was a cheese. You may use your stronger weapon against him. Even the strongest weapon you have, you will have a hard time defeating this boss. He has an AoE attack, a long range slash attack that manages to hit you, and do not forget that he takes a lot of damage against Ratchet. So, as a player, it's either you grind Ratchet to become strong, or you're gonna cheese this boss fight. So, for me, I just cheese this boss fight. All you have to do is complete the electrical armor set, because this armor set will give you an AoE elemental effect even if you just smash it with your wrench. So, once that you get this armor set, run forward to Otto, and then jump, then press the attack button to perform the AoE attack. Rinse and repeat. You will manage to defeat this boss from only a minute, but be careful that you will still get a damage from his attack. So, I highly advise to use the shield barrier for your extra protection. Once Otto was truly defeated, Quark came back and then he found out from Scrunch that Otto was not his real father. Again, Scrunch appeared out of the blue due to his heightened emotion and found out that his real parents are dead. He put Otto in the machine that the Emperor will use for his grand scheme. Scrunch was being a monkey, he put himself in the machine and then Ratchet accidentally activated the machine. To the result, he replaced the intelligence of Otto from Scrunch intelligence. They did not kill Otto, but they did even worse than that. It's scary to wipe out your memory, and it is like a death in my book. In my opinion, he is not a compelling villain. He is just a plain simple villain who just wants to take over the world by being the most intelligent, even though that he has enough resources to take over the galaxy by his own hand. I think Luna is a better villain compared to Otto, in my opinion only. In the end, the government decided that the clones of Ratchet will become merchandise, even though that they are deadly and have a likelihood to become violent. The duo is only fine with this idea, and Quark got a millions of mini Ratchet clones that he wants to command. And according to Ratchet, that Quark is a big man and also have a big ego, even though that Ratchet also had a larger ego. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's Ratchet and Clank Size Matters to You. I must say that this somehow still hold up to this day, although some of the aspects are aging like a fine milk. Still, it manages to satisfy my childhood nostalgia at this age. But I can see the flaws of it. For example, that due to the limited buttons of the PSP, you cannot aim your weapons at the enemy, or you cannot choose an enemy that you wanted to shoot. Some of the cutscenes feel rushed, and there's the scene where you cannot see Quark from the ship, and then, out of nowhere, he appears. For the presentation, I'm surprised that the PSP managed to run this game. Feel somehow PS2 console experience, yet there's some inconsistency you can notice if you're going to critically think about it. But overall, you can find a good time from this game, especially if you are a fan of this franchise. Anyways, I want to hear from you in the comment section about this game and how much nostalgia brought you by this game. And this is only my first time creating a video about gaming. And for now, I do not have any idea on what am I going to upload next or what will be the vision of this channel, but I will still continue uploading some video games that I'm playing, especially for the games that I did not play or finish it on my childhood days or in the past. And I hope you like the video, and I would like to ask some suggestions on what would be improvement in this channel or the next video that I'm going to make. So that's it. Thank you for staying and have a pleasant day, everyone. Thank you. I would like to give a appreciation to my girlfriend who helps me editing this video, and it is really helpful for everything that you teach me, especially that this is my first time editing a video in my entire life. I always love you, Liza. And thank you to my close friends that encourages me to create a video on my thoughts about the games that I'm playing. And this is for you, everyone. Thank you and have a nice day.